welcome back to episode 2, where we're going to be taking a look at some of the mechanics behind our Skyblock map that we are creating in Minecraft Bedrock. If you didn't see the last video, we set up the super flat void world that you currently see in the game at the moment. So today we're going to be working on developing our island and some game mechanics within that island. First thing we're going to do, we're going to have to change some settings in your world if you are following along at home. If we scroll down, we need to show our coordinates because that's going to become very useful as we develop more things for it. We also do want to use experimental gameplay on, but we will have to restart the world, so I will do that in a second. For now, we're going to put always day on. So what I'm going to do, if I save and quit the world here, and I go into our world, and I go down to use experimental gameplay and hit continue. This is going to become very useful later on whenever we are wanting to build structures that might be randomized within the world. Okay, so back in the world, we are going to start off with what I would class as a basic Sky Island setup. So, we are going to remove all this cobblestone, and I will be right back whenever I've done this. So, after removing all the stone, I have put a block of bedrock here. This was just the center of the platform, and it doesn't really matter where your bedrock actually is located. But we are going to use this as sort of the base for our Sky Island. Now, if you look at the coordinates in the top left-hand corner, you will notice that their position being 8, 4, and 8. So that's X, Y, and Z. X is long ways, Y is up and down in the world, so as you jump, you increase in Y. And Z is parallel to X. So, as you can see, we're only at layer 4 in the world, in basically the void world. Now, that's not really going to cut it for a Skyblock world, so we're going to have to create it much further up in the air. Now, you could just sit here and block for that number of blocks, but one of the commands that we're going to use is going to become very vital later on as we build up our Skyblock world, and that is the set block command. Now, set block allows you to set a block relative to a position and or in an exact position. So the tilde key, which is relative, so it goes X, Y, and Z, as you can see down in the autocomplete. So we want it at this location on the X. We want it relatively 60 blocks above us, and we want it on our Z. And we're just going to set that to bedrock for now. So that should create a block. There we go. Yep, 60 blocks into the air. So that should be at Y level 64. Now, this can also be useful if you're looking to build further out within the world, but you don't want to block out to that, which is obviously going to be time saving in that regard. Now, a standard Skyblock usually looks something like this. Now, that is our basic starting world. Now, we are going to do something slightly different in that we're going to bring this out a couple of blocks, and we'll bring it out one more, and we're going to pop grass on the top of that. We're going to have other islands around this area to aid in other types of ore mining and things relative to the Skyblock world. We are going to start with a chest of items that could be useful to the player. So we're gonna start with a bucket of lava and a ice block, just regular ice. So that's our first two items. We're also going to use seeds. We're also going to leave one seed in there. We shall leave some food. So we shall leave 16 cooked salmon. Pop that in the chest as well. So that leaves us with seeds, cooked salmon, lava bucket, and ice. So that is our starting world and our starting island, in fact, for the Skyblock. So the first thing we're actually going to work on today is mainly an ore resource gathering system. Now this is going to be located not too far away from the player, so maybe 150 to 200 blocks. One more thing, a map would actually be really useful for the player. So if we get a empty map, and we're going to get a compass, and we're going to put a compass inside that map. That way the player will be able to see where they are located. Okay, so if we go off in this direction, we're going to set up the first building for today, and that is going to be just a concept at the moment, and we will design it at a very later stage. But let's say if we go 150, okay, that's about 200 blocks away. So if I use the set block command and I do it from my current location, so as you can see, being the intelligent human being that I am, I have accidentally muted the microphone when recording this, so I'm going to be doing a voiceover afterwards. So we're going to start by creating a small island. We are actually going to create a section of the mining platform, and we are going to use command blocks in this island to create the randomness of the mine. I'll demonstrate here in a minute how it will work. So as you can see, we're just setting up an area to mine, and we're going to put a cobblestone block just in the center there whenever me decides to do it. And we're going to use a command block, and the command that we are actually going to use is the test for commands. We're going to be looking to see if the block is air, and we're going to use that to generate some randomness within this build. That's me forgetting what the command is. So it is test for block. And we're going to test for it 2 places back on the x-axis, which is that cobblestone block that we have actually set there. And as always, going to set it up to always be active so that it will fire at any point. Unfortunately, I forgot to check for the infested cobblestone when I was creating this. I later replaced it with a command off camera, so just note that do not use infested cobblestone. Use real cobblestone at this point. We're going to take a repeater from that command block. Now, the reason why I'm getting a ton of messages in the chat is I have experimental features on. At the start of the video, we turned those on, and that adds the command log there that you see in the top left-hand corner. Now we're going to go from this repeater into a monostable circuit. As many of you may know by this point, monostable circuits are actually broken in the current version of Minecraft. I don't know what happened there. So going into a monostable circuit, and then we're going to build our randomizer. Now this is going to randomly select between one of the 9 different options Give you an example, would be like iron, coal, gold, diamond, or one of the other materials that you would like to create within your mine. Now, this isn't going to be the only mine in the world that we're going to create. We are going to create a few others later on, but they're all going to be based on this concept that I have designed. I don't know if anybody else has actually created something similar, but I basically came up with this in my own spare time, and it's what I sort of use for these types of build. Now we're going to take out from our dropper a couple of blocks of packed ice, and I like to use glass so I can see the items moving. It just makes life easier when you're debugging the whole system. Sometimes you'll be wondering why certain things won't working, and glass just makes it easier to see. Now, also, we unfortunately managed to start building this on top of a ice biome, or not an ice biome, an ocean biome, which means that fish will spawn in this. That doesn't affect the output of the randomizer, just if the fish get killed, or you kill the fish with a command, they will fill up that hopper and it will break the system, just as a note. Now, we're going to do a bubble bouncer, which is going to take our soul sand, and we're going to bounce we're going to bounce items with soul sand and water up a level with a sign. This is sort of like a 1-block elevator. The issue is with most elevators at the moment, you need to have at least a clear block between the elevator and the water source pushing the items. This just makes it slightly more compact. Doesn't really matter which way you build it, but essentially you're going to put a water stream there and there, and as water is currently being changed recently, so all items do float within the water source. Now that's the basics of your randomizer. There is one more block I need to fix. I need to put a water source in the bottom layer as well. That just helps speed up the movement of your items across this whole network. So what's going to happen is you're going to have to put some items in that dropper, and here's just me testing it. So as you can see, it bounces up and goes back into the dropper. Now we're going to use name tags that have been named to a specific name. Now the benefit of that is if a name tag with a name is dropped from a dropper, that name tag holds the name that as the entity, which makes it easy for detecting with command blocks. So once you've developed the randomizer that I've set out in the video here, I'm going to show you, we're going to need to build an extra section on top of this. Now we are going to need a command block for this. So this section is going to be the random chance for the ore to spawn. So this is a random selector. So this will select between 1 of 8 or 9 different options that can spawn, and then there will be a random chance on top of that. So for this, we're going to need a command block. We're going to need a comparator. That comparator is going to run into a monostable circuit. Even though these are sort of broken in this patch, they work ish. Monostable circuit. After the monostable circuit, we're going to have an actual randomizer. And so the random chance randomizer looks like that. On top of that, we're going to have a comparator. And we're going to have 2 blocks out and redstone on each. Now this works because if there is a single item in the hopper, it will only produce a redstone pulse of 1. And if there is a sword in the hopper, it will produce a redstone pulse of more than 1, 2.5, or 3, or something like that, if I remember correctly. We're only going to go 2 blocks out for it. And then on top of that, we're going to place another command block. And we're going to take a repeater. I do not have one in my inventory. Okay, and from that repeater, we're going to set it to 2 ticks. Then we're going to go into a block, and then we're going to go into a redstone torch, into another block, into a redstone torch, into a third block, and then on top of that we're going to put a piston. Now this is going to become another monostable circuit, but I'm going to call it like a blocking monostable circuit. So if one option happens, then the other one won't happen. And this is so if we get a sword, then we do this block, else we're going to just generate cobblestone. That'll give, in total, between 8 or 9 modules we're going to make, that'll give cobblestone about a 45-46% chance of generating. So from here, we're going to need a observer. So, needs to be pointing, the redstone needs to be pointing upwards. That's going to go into a redstone torch, and then into another block, into a redstone torch. Then we're going to use a repeater with 2 ticks, so a 3-tick repeater. That's 2 ticks, so that's 1 tick, 1 left click. Repeater's 1 tick by default, so that's adding another 2 ticks on, and that's adding 1 tick on. We're then going to get our redstone, run the redstone into the monostable circuit, and finally a final command block. That is the basics behind the circuit. Now this circuit is going to be for coal, so I'm going to rename that. The command for this, well, this is for starters, this is going to be a repeat with no redstone pulse. The command is going to be test for an entity with the name of coal and the radius of 10. So that's going to be a command for this one. Okay, so for this block, this is going to set it to coal ore, and this is going to be impulse with redstone. This is going to be set block, and we're going to put it at the location 202 67 22. I'm going to set this to coal ore, and we're going to just copy and paste that command. I don't know if that's available in the other Bedrock versions, but it is on PC, and this is going to be cobblestone. Like so. And this is going to be an impulse with needs redstone. So that is our basic system setup. We just need to fill out these hoppers. Now we are going to give it 5 diamond swords for this, and then you're going to need 5 separate non-stacking items. Or sorry, 5 the rest of the slots need to be filled with stacking items, but 1 of each, so there's no stacking at all. So if we look in, we have a name tag that has just been renamed with an anvil, renamed to coal. Now what should happen if I break this? This should reset, and we got a coal piece. We click that again, we got cobblestone. You do need to fill this up with other name tags. Okay, I see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the other 8 different blocks that we can include for this, and I'm going to create the 8 different sections. They are just copy and pastes of this module, just 8 more times. I'm going to do that very, very shortly here, and I will see you when I get back. So I have actually just finished the 8 extra components. They're exactly the same, just a copy. Each one of them has different amounts of diamond swords. These different amounts of diamond swords, they determine how likely you are to get the ore. And I have also filled our dispenser with the name tags, and every one of these is exactly the same, just with a different name for the entity. So if we go over here, we go into game mode survival, and we give ourselves a diamond. A diamond pickaxe. Then what we can do is mine this. That's an emerald. There's a diamond. Redstone. Iron. So as you can see, each of the ores spawn at a random chance. There we go, there's some quartz. If you have any questions about what you've seen here today, or would like me to elaborate in another video, please leave a comment in the comment section of the video. Also, if you have enjoyed this video and would like to see more redstone tutorials similar to these for the Bedrock version of Minecraft, then go ahead and leave a like and a subscribe on this video, and I will see you in the next one.